Alrighty, guys. So welcome back in to Slaughterhouse Sports, and we're going to talk today about the Atlanta Falcons, and we're going to talk about the entirety of the season. They are 4-6 on the season. I'm going to argue today why they should keep Arthur Smith as the head coach, at least till the end of the year. I believe that Arthur Smith has built a really good defensive line. They don't have Grady Jarrett, but, Calais Campbell comes in. Yamada's, playing well. Caden Ellis. They're down Troy Anderson as well. And this group happens to be pretty good against the run. So they've been good against the run all year long. The second reason is this team's been competitive. They've been in every single game all year long with a third round quarterback that has been very, very erratic. And it's hard to be in games when you've had a third round quarterback. I mean, Arthur Smith, we look at the first couple of years, he had Matt Ryan and Marcus Mariota were really his best options. Then what was his option last year? Should they have maybe broken the bank for Lamar Jackson and made a run at Jackson? Who's to say that they clearly did not make a run at Lamar Jackson? You look at the first part of the draft, you pretty much have, in terms of the quarterbacks that are selected, you only have one quarterback that really is shining from that class. Well, you have two. You actually have Aiden O'Connell that is winning games, and then you have C.J. Stroud that looks like a bona fide star. But then you have Bryce Young, and Bryce is really struggling, and he was the first overall pick, and Anthony Richardson has been hurt. Will Levis, I know that he lit up the Falcons, but he's kind of bounced right back down to earth. I'll argue this, the odds of Desmond Ridder versus Will Levis working, I believe that Ridder, I'll say this right now, I believe Ridder has a better chance of being a good NFL quarterback than Will Levis. Even Will Levis on the Titans, I still see the same problems I saw Kentucky on tape. He puts the ball in harm's way. He doesn't have a precise throwing motion. He's a guy that doesn't really throw a fluid, football, and the throwing motion is all kind of out of whack. So, I believe that Ridder has better fundamentals, can be more accurate than Will Levis can. Now, the offense is still clunky with Arthur Smith. The problem is, now with, the Falcons is that they're just a couple of adjustments away. The offensive line needs to continue to gel, but they need to continue to utilize Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to break this offense open. Kyle Pitts is the most talented player on this offense. He can run. He's a matchup nightmare for linebackers, and everybody's doubling Kyle Pitts. So if you double Pitts, then you got to give the ball out to Drake London. Drake London is a good player, but I'd argue that might be a miss in the draft. I mean, you took Drake London incredibly high, and I still think that there's other wideouts that are just as twitchy and just as fast as Drake London. I don't think Drake has great speed or separating ability. He makes good contested catches, but you need chunk plays. Look at the Dolphins. You really think Tyreek Hill has better hands than Drake London? Tyreek Hill is good at catching the football, but Tyreek Hill is a really good receiver because he creates separation. Jalen Waddle's the exact same way. The best receivers in the NFL get wide open and create separation. Jamar Chase, it's because of his speed. It's because of Tyreek Hill's speed. The game is played through speed. Look at why Tank Dell is a good, really good player. There's a lot of short guys in the NFL that are now good because it's about space and it's about speed. And also, here's the thing. When you get the interception down there, you got to score a touchdown. And the way you do that is everybody knows that you're trying to run on first and second down. You got to call stretch run plays for Bijan Robinson, which you've been trying to do. But on first down, throw a play action fake, throw a shot play. On first down, you can go play action and go get yourself 15 yards. That's exactly what Kevin O'Connell does with Josh Dobbs. It's exactly the type of play he does to create open concepts. It's what Sean McVay did with Matthew Stafford. But, if you have a good play caller, you can have an all right talent at quarterback. Like, Josh Dobbs, I guess, is a little bit older. So is Jared Goff. So those guys are advanced, I guess, with seeing football. But there's no reason why. It's not like Josh Dobbs and Jared Goff, from a physical standpoint, are that much greater than maybe Desmond Ridder. Jared Goff is a very accurate passer. Jared Goff is actually, he's thin, but he's built a little bit more than Desmond Ridder. But actually, yesterday was a blessing in disguise because we just saw that Taylor Heineke was just really operating at a poor level there in that second half. I mean, he's barely 6 feet tall. He doesn't throw a better football than Desmond Ridder. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the running ability of Ridder. But Ridder just happened to be playing so poorly that he was appropriately benched, and he saw the benching happen. So guess what? He saw what happened. He saw what it was like to get benched, and then guess what happened? He then had a great attitude the entire time. He didn't sulk at all. He stayed by Taylor Heineke the entire time as a young player, and then he came back in, didn't blink. The sign of a true winner. His intangibles flashed yesterday, and that's why they won, okay? So this is year 3. Arthur's still trying to find his quarterback. They really haven't. It's not like it's not like he's had a great quarterback, Arthur Smith. It's not like he's ruined an exceptional quarterback. He's trying to make it work with a quarterback. Has the season started off slower than many have expected? Yes. I would actually say, going back, the worst loss, at least Josh Dobbs tore apart the Saints en route to a 21-point lead in the first half, and then they played garbage time in the second half. At least Josh Dobbs looks formidable, and Kevin O'Connell might be one of the brightest offensive minds in the game of football. At least you know, after watching Dobbs again, it looks like this is the best situation that Dobbs has had. And Jordan Addison is already a great wide receiver, and they went and got him in the mid-20s, okay? So, the point that I'm trying to make is that now that loss looks a little bit better. Will Levis is an all-right quarterback. You played terrible in Tennessee. Tennessee was coming off a bye week, a road game, tough place to play. You really should have beat Washington. That's the game that you play terrible in. And then Ridder and the team, they were a mess in London and then against Detroit. So you lost to the Lions. I'm going to point out the losses. You have 6 losses to choose from. Yesterday, Kyler comes back. They have a really good scheme, okay? They have a good scheme on offense. They have good play caller and a much better quarterback, okay? And their tight end happens to be utilized even more than Kyle Pitts is utilized, okay? But their quarterback is exceptionally good, and they're playing a home game. And yeah, Jonathan Gannon coached better than Arthur Smith yesterday, because Arthur Smith is calling card his offense, and he needs to just do play action. It's simple. Play action on first down when they're not expecting it. You need to be more aggressive, actually, in the passing game. I don't care that interceptions happen. You can't go off of a turnover, run Algier or Cordell Patterson 3 yards into the line of scrimmage. You just can't do that. You need to be a tad more creative. And if you're not going to be creative, then you're going to get your offensive play calling duties taken away. And then if you're going to talk to Arthur Blank and then you're not going to adjust, and then you don't want to be a head coach and have a Ben Johnson style offensive coordinator, or even hire Bobby Slowick, okay? You can get yourself an offensive coordinator. Drew Pensing has never called offensive plays, neither has Bobby Slowick, and both of these guys are more effective than Arthur Smith has been at calling plays so far this season. Okay, so you have Pitts that you've seen be good. You have Drake London and a couple of receivers. Jonnu Smith is okay. Unfortunately for Cordell Patterson, I hate to say this because he's a great guy, ultimate locker room guy. he just can't be getting touches. You need to give those all to Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. So you need to be a little bit selfish now with the season hanging in the balance, okay? The defense is a little bit tired. Is that Jesse Bates signing? Like, I know he played great against Bryce Young. Is he making that big of an impact? Is that going to not be good? Because you look at running back and safety. They invest a lot into running back and safety. And somewhat linebacker as well. Is that bringing enough? Is that going to be enough to actually win these games? I just think with Arthur Smith, with the teams that are ahead on your schedule, if you can create a little bit of offense in the passing game and create a little bit of play action, and instead of the route concept being deep curls, you need to get these guys a lot of crossing routes. That's what you need to do during the bye week, okay? You and Dave Ragone need to study, all right, a little bit of the LA Rams' play calling. And the thing is about Arthur Smith is that he's improved this football team. Even though they're losing a couple of these games, this team is still more complete. They're still a better defensive team. They have better talent on offense, okay? It's not like this team was poised with Desmond Ridder this year. I thought that they could have been an 11-win team or a 12-win team, so I am a little bit disappointed. I will admit that. But now we're seeing just how rattled and shaken Desmond Ridder was. But I'm going to give Arthur till the end of the year. I think there's a world in which they beat the New Orleans Saints. Like, I've seen Arthur Smith get this team into the 20s on offense. I've seen Ryan Nielsen be a decent hire on defense. And the thing that happened with Ridder yesterday, again, he saw his job being taken away, and he came back and responded, and he's going to be the quarterback now going forward. Arthur Smith has to win the division now. Like, this stuff is all... the stuff's all out in the open. You're going to wait till after the year to fire Smith if he does not win. So against New Orleans, you just saw Minnesota destroy New Orleans. You're up against the Saints, very average team with Dennis Allen. You're the best team in this division. You win that game against the Saints. Then, against the New York Jets, you go out there against the New York Jets and you play solid fundamental football, and your defensive line is built to play this Zach Wilson and Jets inept offense. You're built to go down. You're built to go to New York, and you're built to play a smash mouth game in the cold. That's actually where you're built to win. So you win those two games and you're 6-6, and now you're finally on top of your division again, and you're finally on top of the South, okay? And then you somehow can make the playoffs, and then somehow can draft Bo Nix next year in the draft, and you somehow create more innovative pass schemes, and you probably give up your play calling next year. That is what's going to happen for Arthur Smith. So he's building this thing, okay? He didn't sell out to get Lamar Jackson. This is the first year he's honestly had a chance at the playoffs with the type of cap hell that him and Terry have had. This is the first season that he's moderately underachieved. And he played against Dobbs. You play against Kyler Murray. These are two quarterbacks that currently are playing at really high levels. You're going to watch Arizona's only a 4-point underdog to the Houston Texans. So as bad as everybody says Arizona is, they didn't have their quarterback. They're bringing in a first-year head coach in Jonathan Gannon. If they had Kyler Murray, this team would be right up there competing. They'd be better than the LA Rams. That is a decent team on the road. You were like a borderline pick'em game, but at home against the Saints, you got to show improvement. Okay, this offense needs to be more aggressive. Kyle Pitts needs to absolutely break out, and he did break out under Matt Ryan. So you have the pieces right now, even without Grady Jarrett, to win the division. You need to hammer the Saints. That's an easier game than going up and playing that Jets defense. So, I mean, this is the thing. It's a perfect evaluation. I would not get rid of Arthur Smith because Arthur Smith has shown the ability to be a really solid CEO. The culture has changed from Dan Quinn. It's a physical, tough culture. The first couple of years, Okay, they've won 7 games. He actually overachieved the first couple of years. Okay, I'm telling you guys that he overachieved. The team never quits on Arthur Smith and hasn't quit on this process. It's not like the New York Giants where they're flat out getting crushed. It's not happening, okay? The team has kind of stayed like right here, okay? It's not going down into the bitter depths. And Arthur Smith, again, I know that you can make fun of him from FedEx, but he seems to know how to run a huge franchise. Him and Arthur Blank. And there is a world in which this team wins 10 or 11 games still. There's a world in which they wrap up the division and host a playoff game. And Desmond Ridder responds. And that is what I'm expecting to happen. I'm expecting them to beat the New Orleans Saints. Then they play Baker Mayfield and the Bucs later in the year. You still go to Carolina. So this is the time. Playing Kyler Murray yesterday was not that easy, and again, they had a lead. If they beat Minnesota, they'd be sitting here 6-4. If they just defended Josh Dobbs, okay, if, ands, or buts. If my dad had, if my grandfather had balls, he'd be a prince or a king. I understand all of that. No, if the queen had balls, she'd be king. I understand all of that. I'm just saying, wait until the end of the year because acknowledge how bad it has been, okay, with Matt Ryan and with Marcus Mariota. And both of those guys are not playing quarterback anymore. Acknowledge how awful it's been at quarterback. And this is a third-round rookie quarterback playing his first year in the NFL. Acknowledge it. Most of your good players are young, okay? You did spend in free agency, but just give Arthur till the end of the year. That's all I'm asking. Listen, if they go out there, they lose against the Jets. You lose on the road to Carolina. Then it's going to be almost impossible to bring Arthur back. But you want to see it completely let this thing play out till the end of the season. What's the point of going mid-season and firing Arthur Smith? What's the point? Okay? I'll acknowledge that there's really good play callers out there in the NFL, and that I'll acknowledge that with a Bo Nix at quarterback, okay, or if with a Jaden Daniels at quarterback, with the weapons that are on this offense, I will acknowledge that there is a world next year and that there could be somebody better to develop offense, develop quarterback play, and develop winning. I can admit that it has been disappointing really seeing Ridder this year. The Washington game was atrocious, and the defense against Minnesota, the entire effort was actually atrocious. Now, here is the interesting thing that I'm going to say about this football team right now. Look at the Alabama Crimson Tide, okay? And there's a lot of fans that are actually Atlanta Falcons fans that are Alabama fans. What happened in South Florida? It's almost like Nick Saban did this on purpose. He played Ty Simpson and Tyler Buckner. These two quarterbacks were terrible against South Florida. The entire team did not believe in Ty Simpson or Tyler Buckner at all. They did not. They rebelled on the field. The offensive line did not block. The entire program stood still because they knew that Jalen Milroe was not only the emotional leader, but was also leaps and bounds more talented. Okay? So if you were in that situation, you would have fired Tommy Reese, the play caller. You would have continued to bench Milroe, but guess what happened? You got over that real rough patch of adversity. And that's kind of what you saw yesterday was Taylor Heineke, not really functioning the team, and Desmond Ridder coming back and saying, you know what, I learned from actually sitting. The whole thing actually, in the craziest stroke of luck, happened to help Desmond Ridder and his career taking that step back. And now he's going to be the quarterback coming out of the bye week. I'm almost 100% sure. And guess what? He's going to have this locker room back because, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, they're all going to, Desmond Ridder right now, he has the locker room. He's the guy. He was the guy taking all the first team reps all of camp. And the team sees that Ridder gives him more of a shot. And this team is still going to be hungry. I still predict they come out there against the Saints and they win big in their first place. So you shouldn't fire a coach that's going to be first place in this division. And then you're going to go out and probably win your division. And winning your division and hosting a playoff game, it does do a lot, okay? And then you're going to evaluate Ridder well. You're going to evaluate Arthur Smith. That's what these 6 weeks are going to be for. And you're going to say, is Ridder going to be better than Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix? Is Ridder really the guy? He could be. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he takes this team, and you have to be really critical. It's going to take a lot for Ridder, in my mind, to be better than Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix, than any of those three quarterbacks, than giving up a first-rounder next year to go and secure that quarterback. It's going to take a lot. But Arthur Smith's done a fine job. The 7-win seasons were actually overachieving the first couple of years. With the lack of cap space and the lack of quarterback play and talent, he's finally solidified the offensive line. The offensive line showed an ability to run block, okay? And I believe that now the defenses are stacking the box. That's why with Marcus Mariota actually as a running quarterback, it did help. So Arthur Smith's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive in his play-action passing game because they're not afraid of Ridder carrying the football. Ridder fumbles the ball. So it's tough. It's tough. If you got Lamar Jackson, you couldn't have Bijan Robinson either, by the way. That's not how it would have worked. You would have given up all of your draft picks. You would have given up everything to go get a quarterback in Lamar Jackson that really wasn't playing all that well coming into this year. All right, so this is where the Falcons are at, okay? A couple last-second losses. It's not like the team is out here. It's not like it's the Giants, Tommy DeVito, and the team is just getting mashed. It's not like they're Chicago and you see no signs of progress. It's not like you're Carolina and you're terrible, okay? It's not like that really at all. With this team. It's not. Even the Rams really don't seem to have like a clear-cut identity of direction of where they're going. Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith, okay? I'm telling you they can still win this division and they still should. Just be a little bit patient, okay? And then if Arthur cannot innovate schemes of throwing the ball, which is getting Kyle Pitts and getting Drake London open and throwing on first down, you're not beholden to Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. You got to run it when they don't expect it. You got to throw when they don't expect it. If they're stacking the box, go play action and take an easy shot, like take a 15-yard, hit a 15-yard dig route, or if they're playing off on Drake London, it's free access. Try to create easy completions, okay? That's why you get paid millions of dollars to create passing concepts that create easy completions, because the D-line nowadays is so good that what team can just line it up and run the ball at these defensive ends and defensive linemen? What team can do that without a quarterback that's mobile? The reason the Philly run game worked is, well, their offensive line's great, but also Jalen Hurts is a +1 in the running game, and Desmond Ridder is not Jalen Hurts running the ball. So everybody's stacking the box. The offense is way predictable. You need to be a little bit less conservative, actually. You have to live with it. If Desmond Ridder turns the ball over, unfortunately, you're going to have to live with it the rest of the year. That's the point. You went into the season believing in Ridder. You have to win this division this year. And guess what? The games are going to get actually easier. I think the Cardinals are going to actually win themselves out of the top 3 sweepstakes. They're probably going to win 6 games, or they're going to win like 5 games, okay? That Josh Dobbs loss was a bad loss. He's playing a little bit better now. Kevin O'Connell is just that good. That Vikings team can maybe be a team. So that loss, okay, we now have the presence of data. It's not even looking as bad. So, again, I'm encouraging. I laid out my argument. It's not that hard. Just wait till the end of the year. Show a tiny bit of patience. Wait till the end of the year. The good news for the Falcons is that they have young pieces in place. Just need that quarterback then and need more innovative play calling. So that can happen. If Arthur Smith doesn't work, then guess what? You simply draft a quarterback and then you get your head coach. I'm not completely giving up in Arthur Smith. I'm just not. I'm waiting till the end of the year. I've seen signs of life, signs of competitive life. with this Falcons team. And if he's the ultimate CEO, he might let Ragone call the plays, or he might yield. That's what I would do if I was head coach, because I would know that you need to create easier offense for your talent. Offense is a chore right now. Watching the Falcons play offensive football, everything is hard and it's a chore. So what are they going to do going forward? What is Arthur going to do to improve this offense? It's all about the passing game. You have the bye week, and then you play the Saints at 1 o'clock. That game's going to be lit. You win that game by 2 touchdowns. You go up to MetLife. It'll ring a very different tune sitting there in first place. Then you go play the Jets, okay? You have then the Colts, the Bears on your schedule. You can really do some damage here second half of the year.